Hello, what's up, everybody? Listen, you are a high achieving woman. You are the one that gets it done, the trailblazer, the glass ceiling breaker, the one that everyone leans on, right? And you are doing all the things. And you don't want to miss one thing because if you miss it, you feel guilty because you're the one that everyone depends on. But you know that you want to do some things differently. You want to do better with your self care. You want to create some new habits in your life, but you haven't made it a priority because you're either too busy or you've tried before and it hasn't worked out, and you just don't want to repeat that again. Who wants to feel like a failure? Or it just seems like too much and you just don't know where to start, right? You want to experience some different results in your life. You want to feel good. You want to feel successful in your accomplishment of sticking to your word, keeping to your agreements for creating these new habits, and feel that feeling of pride and feel joyful about that, right? But if things don't change, you know that you'll just keep starting over. Um, you'll just be frustrated, and you'll have this sense of feeling of failure. Who wants to feel like that, right? There is another way, and that's why we're here today to talk to you about how to spring into action. So before we go any further, I'm Theresa and I, your radical self-love coach, and this is my partner.
Hello, I'm Leslie Freelo, the wine concierge.
And together we are the Sisterhood
Good. Wind
Wind
down.
Down. And we are coming to you this Friday to talk to you about how do you spring into action? How do you create um, new habits in your life through the power of affirmations? Because it just don't feel good feeling like that. Leslie,
Mhm.
you know. Um, and I just want to say that it's not your fault per se that you get caught in these cycles, actually, because this is how we've been conditioned to be the one that takes care of everything, to be the one that solves the problems, to be the one to hold everyone together, to be that spoke in the wheel, right? That's a part of a big part of our identity. So it's not really your fault. But when you're trying to create some new habits and to let go of the old ones, sometimes it's kind of difficult to spring into action. Have you ever felt like that, Leslie?
I have.
Yeah, tell me.
I mean, it is like being on a hamster wheel. It's like where you say Sunday night, my diet starts on Monday, and then Monday evening, when you're
Mhm,
sitting there with a slice of pizza, you're like,
mhm,
well, we're gonna start next week again.
yeah.
So yes, definitely.
And why do we
Absolutely.
always want to start the next week? Like, why we don't say, okay, we'll start tomorrow? We be like, okay, this week is we just gonna start on Monday again.
Oh, 100%. I don't know. I think it's kind of like you've already poisoned the milk, so you gotta you gotta start over, right?
I
Like,
just start over. Yep. Yep. I've done that like at the end of the year. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start in January. And so November till December, it's a wrap, right? Because you got Thanksgiving and then you got
right.
Christmas, you got all the holidays. So you're like, why am I even gonna, I'm not even gonna think about that. Meanwhile, when I eat uh, certain foods, the inflammation starts, and I start having body pains. I start to get a lot of migraine headaches, but I will endure that because I got to wait until January.
Mm-hmm.
Start.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way that we rationalize things in our
Right.
mind.
Right.
It's very interesting, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I feel it 100%. We feel you. You've
Yes,
been there. Yeah, yeah. But um, what we found is that, and we've done this with our sisterhood wind down retreat, where we got a group of women together. Um, and we said, you know what? We are going to make ourselves a priority. So, first of all, we're going to put aside this time just for us. Everybody else can wait, but we're putting this time aside just for us. And then when we got there, we began to reimagine what was possible for us. And we started diving into the power of using affirmations to transform some of the areas in your life. And we looked at all of the different areas. Sometimes we may put all of our energy into our work, our profession, our careers, our business. But then as we're achieving there, our health is not so good. Our relationships may not be so good. Our finances, can use a little more attention, or the way that we care for ourselves, our self-care practices and rituals. They're not always at the top of the list. You know, Have you
I
ever
think it
that?
does make a difference. I
Mm-hmm.
think setting aside time,
Mm-hmm.
scheduling time um, for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes when we do that, we don't honor that time.
Mm-hmm.
So, you speak about the hamster wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what happens is when you don't honor that time because you're like, oh, it's for myself. I think we do this subconsciously. It's for myself. So when something else comes up, like, oh, it's my son's basketball
Mm-hmm.
practice, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and I said, oh, I was going to go exercise in the evening, but my son has basketball practice, so I need to take him to the basketball practice. And then you no longer become that priority, and
Mm-hmm.
then you're like, oh, well, where did it go? Like I said I was going to do this, and it just didn't have the time
Mm-hmm.
because you no longer became the priority,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So honoring that time, because essentially what happens is especially if you live your life principally, right? And you respect the honesty, and you don't put yourself first, and you've carved out time, then you're lying to yourself, right? You're not living your principle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You bring up a good point, Leslie, because you can't live your principle if you don't know what your principle is.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we have to begin with getting clarity around what are the things that you value.
Right.
hmm
Mm.
And when you're living on that hamster wheel and you're just moving on autopilot, just trying to stay afloat, going from one thing to the next, we tend to lose sight of what those values are, and you're not living from them.
Right.
And so it's easy for them to get lost. That's why
Mhm.
the retreat was so powerful, because it gives you an opportunity to reset and to reconnect to, you know what, this is what's important to me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And to value it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, no one often verbalizes that their self is not important, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe they internalize it, but they don't verbalize that it's not important.
Mm-hmm.
But if but by your actions, you
Mm-hmm.
show that it's not important.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
And
talk, you were talking to me about Mary J.
oh yes, I
Mm-hmm.
love some Mary J. And Mary J, was the My Life album and all of those and what have you. And that's when we knew Mary was going through it. Woo!
Mm-hmm.
Mary was kicking butt and her butt was being kicked. And so her she didn't value herself, and she said, she was on a show and she said she didn't value herself, and but now she does, and you can tell Mary shows up differently.
Mm-hmm.
And she says to herself, I love you, and she affirms, which we are talking about now, she affirms to herself that she loves herself. And
Mm-hmm.
she gets giddy when she's like, oh, I'm going to put on this outfit and I'm going to look good, girl. Yes, you're going to look good. And she affirms that she believes in herself. And I
Yeah.
think that is part, as you will speak to, the part of the affirmation
Yeah.
is,
So, you know what though? Like when I work with women around affirmations and just starting with being able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. That is
mhm.
very uncomfortable. That can be very uncomfortable for a woman.
Yes, because we're taught, um, one, that is being arrogant,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't want to be that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is being braggadocious. And
Mm-hmm.
nobody likes a woman who's always bragging on herself. And
Mm-hmm.
it's taught that that's conceit,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't, oh, she's so conceited. All she care about is herself, what
Mm-hmm.
have you. And I hope we're no longer doing that to our young women.
Mm.
That is okay.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I 100%. I think that we have been conditioned to believe as women that it's our duty and it's our role to give without acknowledging what we need. So as a result, we have created a culture of self-neglect where
Yeah.
we, repeatedly um, subscribe to the notion that this is normal, that this is just the way it is.
You know what I call it?
What do you call it?
It's the burnt toast syndrome.
The burnt toast syndrome. Tell me about that burnt toast syndrome.
So you fixing breakfast for everybody
Uh-huh.
and you make toast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you give everybody else and there's and it happens, something stays in the toaster too long or there's what have you. And so one of the slices or a couple of slices are burnt,
Mm-hmm.
they're a little charred, and you give everybody else the good pieces,
Mm-hmm.
and you keep the burnt toast for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And why
And
you
you
like
just
to have the burnt toast?
right, because you're making sure everybody else is satisfied and you're
Mm-hmm.
not satisfied.
Right.
Instead of just like throwing that out to the
Throw it
birds,
out. Yeah.
making another piece of toast, or just
Or,
not having toast that day.
or cutting somebody's piece in half and we share.
Right.
Like, why you got to get a whole piece? This one burnt. We're going to cut this one in half. You get that one. I get that one. We both have toes.
Yes. See, it's the burnt toast syndrome.
I like that burnt toast syndrome. That's good. Yeah, we walking around with a lot of burnt toast. So one of the ways is, but that's just a habit, right? That's something that
Hmm.
has been taught to us. That's a repeated way of thinking. And when we think about something over and over again, what you become, what you believe. And we are the sum total of our beliefs. So with affirmations, you get to recreate, you get to
Yes.
change those beliefs. You get to actually rewire the neural pathways in your brain and to create something totally different for yourself in such a
Mhm.
way that it's wired into your system, into your DNA. That's the power, how powerful affirmations can be.
Yes.
You're very deliberate with them. So, yes, look at yourself in the mirror and say what you are, right? I am. That's the two most powerful words that you could ever say. I am. Those are the two most powerful words in the universe. Whatever follows after I am, it is.
So we would challenge you today
Mm-hmm.
because we are springing into action.
Yes.
We would challenge you today to affirm what you want
Mm-hmm.
and essentially who you are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just take some time to really think about who you really are, not who you've been told to be or who you think you should be, right? Or even, what you feel obligated to be, but what do you want? Who do you want to be? How do you want to feel? What do you want to experience? And create a statement from that place. And it's a simple practice. You can just look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am. Fill it in the blank. I am bold. I am courageous. I am healthy. I am vibrant. I am safe. I am loved. I'm energized. What do you want? Really think about that and create a powerful statement that directly speaks to who you want to be, what you see for yourself. And as you begin to allow yourself to feel that and to say that, what you actually do is you begin to rewire the circuitry in your brain, in your body, and you start to align with actions that will begin to create what it is that you want. Simple, yes. Easy, no, because you're developing new habits. So it's something that you commit to doing consistently. And eventually you'll see the change. Yeah.
And just two more points, or one more point.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do it, celebrate it.
Yes.
Make sure you celebrate
Mm-hmm.
who that is, who you are.
Mm-hmm. Yes. That's good. Celebrate. Yes. Celebrations. BJ Fogg says we change best when we feel good. Celebrating yourself is the best way to activate those feel good feelings, right? So, absolutely celebrate yourself. Now, these are some of the things that we learned at the Sisterhood Wind Down Retreat, right? In January, we had it, and we focused on really reconnecting to yourself, reimagining what is possible, and having that reset. And they walked away. Everyone walked away. You will walk away with a clear blueprint for how to continue those practices on a regular, ongoing basis so that you will see the transformation in your life that you desire. We're having another one. My partner and I, we're having another one coming up September 12th through the 15th. It'll be at the beautiful mansion at Noble Lane in the fall, where all of the beautiful leaves and the seasons. I think fall is the best season. So you get to,
Yeah.
see all of the different colors, get to experience the property, connect with some really dynamic women, have some wonderful food by a private chef. It's sitting down, being catered to. It's just a wonderful experience. And we'd love to have you join us at the Sisterhood Wind Down Retreat. So if this is something that you would like to see, if you're a good fit for, because we want to make sure that it's a good fit for everyone, we'll have the link here in the chat. You can click on that in order to schedule a chat with us, or you can even just send us a DM and ask us your questions, and we'll be happy to respond to you.
Thank you, Theresa.
Thank you, Leslie. So we'll be back. We'll be back next week, right?
Most definitely. Most definitely. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.